weaknesses every man must know. Chapter 1: The Power of Touch and the Forbidden Effect. Unlocking a woman's deepest desires. Women often present themselves as independent, strong, and in control. They walk with confidence, speak with certainty, and claim they don't need a man to feel complete. But beneath that exterior, every woman has hidden weaknesses, psychological and biological triggers that bypass her logic and make her feel things she can't control. These triggers aren't about money, looks, or status. The truth is, women don't just fall for the richest, the best looking, or the most powerful men. They fall for the men who understand psychology, the men who know how to get inside their minds and bodies in ways that make them feel something real, something primal. And one of the most powerful triggers? Touch. The power of a man's touch. Why she can't resist it. A woman might reject a man's words. She might insist she's not interested. She might even convince herself that she's not attracted to him. But her body tells a different story, because attraction isn't just mental, it's biological. Scientific studies have proven that physical touch increases oxytocin levels in women. Oxytocin is the hormone responsible for feelings of bonding, trust, and desire. It's the same hormone released during intimacy, affection, and even childbirth, making it one of the most powerful chemicals in the female brain. This is why a woman might be unsure about a man, but the moment he touches her the right way, she starts seeing him differently. It's not magic, it's science, and most men overlook this completely. A confident, well-timed touch can override her logical thinking and create an emotional reaction she can't ignore. Suddenly, she feels something, even if her mind told her not to. The secret to touch that makes her weak. The key to making a woman crave your touch isn't just about touching her. It's about how, when, and where you do it. A woman should never feel like you're forcing yourself on her. Instead, she should feel like she's naturally drawn into your space. And when you touch her, it should feel so smooth, so natural, so effortless that it just feels right. Here's how to do it. Start subtly. The first touches should be small, accidental, but intentional. Brushing her wrist during conversation, lightly placing your hand on her lower back as you guide her through a doorway, or letting your fingers briefly graze her knee when sitting next to her. These are the kinds of natural, unforced touches that create an instinctive reaction. Use sparing, confident contact. Touch should never feel random or desperate. A man who touches a woman constantly comes off as needy or insecure. Instead, touch should be deliberate, spaced out, and controlled. The less you do it, the more she notices it. Use the power of contrast. Women feel more excitement when there's contrast between presence and absence. If you touch her, let it linger for just a second too long, then pull away. The moment the touch is gone, she'll feel the emptiness of it, and that's what makes her crave more. Own your space. The most attractive men don't just touch a woman, they have a presence. They move with certainty, lean in when speaking, hold eye contact, and make a woman feel like she's inside their world. Control the moment. If you act nervous or unsure when you touch a woman, she will sense it immediately. But if you touch with confidence, she will react positively, even if she wasn't thinking about you that way before. Why touch works, even on uninterested women. This is the real secret. Women don't always know what they want until they feel it. A woman might have zero interest in a man at first, but when he understands the art of touch, something inside her shifts. Maybe it's a light touch on her lower back as he confidently leads her through a crowded bar. Maybe it's the way he briefly grabs her wrist while making a point. Maybe it's the way he playfully tugs on her hair before smirking and looking away. Suddenly, she's thinking about him differently. The guy she thought she wasn't interested in, now she's feeling something strange in her stomach whenever he's close. It's not manipulation, it's not trickery. It's biology, and once a man learns how to use it, he becomes unforgettable. The forbidden effect, why women crave what they can't have. If there's one psychological truth that every man needs to understand, it's this. Women are wired to desire what feels just out of reach. This is why a man who chases a woman desperately gets ignored. A man who keeps her slightly uncertain becomes addictive. The moment she thinks she's losing you, her emotions intensify. Psychologist Robert Cialdini calls this the scarcity principle, the idea that we desire things more when they seem rare or unattainable. Ever notice how a woman can ignore a guy for weeks, but the second he stops caring, she suddenly becomes interested? That's the forbidden effect in action. Women don't just want a man who wants them. They want a man who they're not completely sure they can have. How to trigger the forbidden effect. Be busy, have a life. A man who always prioritizes a woman over his own passions signals that he has nothing else going on. A woman respects a man who has his own purpose, his own goals, and his own drive. Be selective, not desperate. A woman doesn't want to feel like she's the only option a man has. If he acts like he could take her or leave her, she will instinctively chase him. Know when to walk away. The moment a man shows that he isn't afraid to lose her, she suddenly values him more. This is why women chase unavailable men, not because they actually love the game, but because it forces them to feel desire on a deeper level. The man who remains slightly unpredictable, who isn't always available, who keeps her on edge, that's the man she can't get out of her head. The deadly mistake most men make. Most men either try too hard and give everything away too soon, killing the mystery and making themselves predictable. Don't try at all and come off as uninterested, making her feel like they're boring or uninterested. The secret is in the balance. Give her just enough to feel the attraction, then pull away and let her chase it. This is how to make a woman think about you non-stop. Conclusion. Most men believe attraction is about what they say to a woman. But the truth is, attraction is about what you make her feel. Deep in her subconscious, the right kind of touch, combined with the psychology of scarcity, makes a woman feel a primal pull toward a man. Master these, and you will stand out from every other man she's ever met. Coming up next, Chapter 2, Why Drama, Voice Control, and Jealousy Fuel a Woman's Addiction to a Man. This is where we dive deep into the emotional triggers that make women feel completely hooked on certain men. Stay tuned. Chapter 2, Drama, voice control, and jealousy, the triggers of emotional addiction. Attraction isn't just about looks, wealth, or even personality. It's about how a woman feels when she's around you, and more importantly, how she feels when you're not around. Most men think women want peace, stability, and predictability. And while that's true for long-term security, when it comes to raw attraction, what really hooks a woman is something completely different: emotional highs and lows. A woman might logically want a nice guy who treats her well, but she falls hardest for the man who makes her feel something intense. A man who knows how to ignite drama, control his voice, and use jealousy in the right way can make a woman emotionally addicted to him without her even realizing it. Why drama keeps her hooked, even if she says she hates it. Most men assume women want a drama-free, emotionally stable relationship. But the truth? Women get bored when things are too easy. A woman who is too comfortable, too certain, too safe in a relationship will eventually crave excitement somewhere else. Think about it. Why do women stay with men who are unpredictable? Why do they obsess over guys who disappear, then reappear like nothing happened? Why do they talk about the one who got away years after the fact? Because it wasn't just about the man. It was about the emotional roller coaster he put her on. When a man understands the power of emotional contrast, he becomes the kind of guy a woman can't walk away from, even if she tries. How emotional contrast creates attraction. Psychologists have found that dopamine spikes when emotions fluctuate between highs and lows. This is why women get addicted to unpredictable men, the ones who make them laugh one minute and challenge them the next, disappear for a short time, then return with even more charm, make them feel uncertainty, but also make them feel amazing when they're together. Predictability kills attraction. A man who is always too nice, too available, too predictable creates zero excitement. There's no thrill, no challenge, no anticipation. Unpredictability keeps her thinking about you. When a man creates emotional ups and downs, a woman can't stop thinking about him because she hasn't figured him out yet, and that mystery is what makes him irresistible. Think of a TV series with an amazing plot twist. What keeps you watching? The unpredictability. That's exactly how women's attraction works. The power of a man's voice. How to control her mind without her realizing it. A woman's ears are just as sensitive as her skin. The way a man speaks, the depth of his voice, and the way he pauses before delivering a sentence, all of these sink into her subconscious and affect her attraction on a deep, primal level. A deep, controlled voice isn't just attractive, it's commanding. It signals dominance, certainty, and power. And a woman reacts to that instinctively. What science says about voice and attraction. A study from the University of Aberdeen found that women are more attracted to men with lower-pitched voices because they subconsciously associate them with confidence, authority, and strong genetics. But it's not just about pitch. Men who speak too fast sound nervous. Men who speak too slow sound unsure. Men who speak with control pull a woman in without her even realizing it. Think of a scene in a movie where a man seduces a woman. He doesn't rush. He doesn't blurt things out. He speaks with precision, like every word is designed to affect her. And the real secret? It's not just about sounding good. It's about knowing when to stay silent. Why silence creates attraction. Sometimes the pause before answering makes her anticipate your words even more. A nervous man rushes to fill every gap in conversation. A confident man lets the silence build tension, and that tension fuels attraction. A woman's imagination is far more powerful than anything you could say. The more she's forced to wonder about what you're thinking, the more she feels drawn to you. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And when you master this, you can make a woman feel things just by the way you speak. The hidden effect of jealousy, how to make her want you more. Most men think that if they show too much interest in other women, they'll turn off the woman they're pursuing. But the reality? A woman's desire isn't just about attraction, it's about competition. She can like a man, but the moment she sees other women interested in him, her desire intensifies. This is female psychology at its core. Women are wired to want high-value men. A high-value man is always in demand. If other women want you, she will want you even more. Why women desire what other women want. It's the reason why celebrities, athletes, and powerful men never struggle with attraction. Women become obsessed with men in relationship. A woman will ignore a man for months, but suddenly want him when she sees another woman flirting with him. Women don't just want a great man. They want a man that other women want. A man who is completely focused on just one woman might think he's being loyal, but in her mind, he's signaling that he has no other options. No options equals no value. But the man who is admired by other women, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. How to use jealousy to increase attraction. Be socially active. Women notice when a man is surrounded by other women, even if he's not flirting. Don't always be available. If she feels like she has to compete for your time, she values it more. Be confident around other women. A man who can naturally interact with multiple women signals high social value. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding psychology. If a woman feels like she's the only one chasing you, she assumes she's in control. But the moment she feels like she might lose you to someone else, that's when she starts chasing you. Conclusion: drama, voice control, and jealousy. These are the 3 hidden triggers that create deep emotional addiction in a woman. If you never create emotional contrast, she'll get bored. If you speak without control, you won't command her attraction. If you show no social proof, she'll assume you have no value. But a man who understands these principles, that's the man who can make a woman crave him on a deep subconscious level. Coming up next, Chapter 3, the chase, the fantasy, and the need for authority. This is where we break down why men who create mystery, tension, and dominance become unforgettable. Stay tuned. Chapter 3, the chase, the fantasy, and the need for authority. If there's one mistake most men make, it's this. They give away their value too soon. They think that if they show a woman how much they like her, she'll return the same energy. They believe that if they're open, available, and affectionate right away, she'll appreciate it. But in reality, she loses interest. Why? Because attraction isn't about logic, it's about psychology. Women aren't drawn to men who hand over their attention and emotions on a silver platter. They're drawn to men who know how to create mystery, build tension, and establish authority. This is why the men who understand the chase, the fantasy, and the need for authority become unforgettable, while the men who give too much too soon get ignored. Why the chase is more important than the catch. A woman may claim she wants a man who is consistent, affectionate, and available. But the moment a man makes himself too easy to get, her attraction fades. Why? Because women don't fall in love with the prize. They fall in love with the pursuit of the prize. The science behind the chase. When a woman isn't 100% sure about a man, she thinks about him more. When a man keeps her guessing, she becomes emotionally engaged. When a man pulls away slightly, her brain triggers a dopamine rush, making her want him even more. What kills the chase? Telling her too soon how much you like her. Giving her unlimited attention without her earning it. Being available every time she calls or texts. What keeps the chase alive? Making her wonder about your level of interest. Being busy with your own life and goals. Not always responding right away. Creating anticipation. The moment a woman feels like she has you completely, she stops chasing. But the moment she feels like she might lose you, that's when her emotions intensify. This is why men who are slightly unpredictable stay in a woman's mind far longer than men who make things too easy. The fantasy effect, why women love men they can't fully have. Attraction isn't just about looks. It's about the story a man creates in a woman's mind. Women don't just fall for a man. They fall for how he makes them feel when he's not around. Ever wonder why women become obsessed with mysterious men? Why they fantasize about celebrities they've never even met? Because their imagination fills in the blanks. How to create the fantasy effect. Don't give everything away too soon. Most men make the mistake of oversharing, thinking it builds connection, but the truth? Women desire mystery. The more she wonders about you, the more she fantasizes about you. Be playful and unpredictable. If a man always answers questions directly, he becomes predictable and boring. But if he answers with a bit of mystery or humor, she becomes intrigued. Examine her. So, what do you do for work? Boring guy. I'm an accountant. Intriguing guy. I track secrets for a living. But if I told you more, I'd have to make you sign an NDA. Smirk. See the difference? One response is forgettable. The other creates curiosity. Make her wonder what you're thinking. A woman's imagination is your greatest weapon. If she knows exactly how you feel at all times, there's no excitement. But if she wonders whether she's winning you over or not, she becomes invested. Men who leave just enough mystery become the men women can't stop thinking about. The need for authority, why women crave strong, decisive men. Women may say they want an equal in a relationship, but deep down, they are drawn to men who lead, not in a controlling way, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that makes them feel safe, guided, and secure. Why women desire strong men. Women are biologically wired to seek security. A man who is confident in his decisions makes a woman feel at ease. A woman will test a man's strength not to dominate him, but to see if he can handle her. This is why women subconsciously test men, pushing their boundaries, disagreeing with them, or challenging them. They don't do this because they want to dominate a man. They do it because they want to see if he's strong enough to handle them. A weak man crumbles under pressure, constantly seeks approval, and lets a woman dictate his every decision. A strong man stands firm in his values, leads with confidence, and doesn't let a woman control him emotionally. And that's the man she respects. How to display authority in a way that women crave. Be decisive. Women hate it when a man says, "I don't know, what do you want to do?" A strong man makes decisions without hesitation. He says, "Let's do this instead. I know a great spot. Trust me." Set boundaries. A man with no boundaries gets walked all over, but a man who has self-respect and doesn't tolerate disrespect earns a woman's admiration. Be unapologetically yourself. A weak man tries to adjust his personality to fit what a woman wants. A strong man stays true to himself, and women love him for it. Conclusion: most men chase too hard, overshare, and seek approval, killing attraction. The most attractive men let women chase, keep them guessing, and lead with confidence. The chase, the fantasy, the authority. Master these three, and you become the man she can't forget. Coming up next, Chapter 4, the emotional roller coaster and the submissive trigger. This is where we dive into why emotions dictate attraction more than logic, and how a woman's deepest desire is to feel safe enough to surrender. Stay tuned. Chapter 4, the emotional roller coaster and the submissive trigger, unlocking her deepest desires. If there's one truth that separates men who attract women effortlessly from those who struggle, it's this: women don't choose men based on logic. They choose based on emotions. You can be the nicest guy, the most supportive boyfriend, the most successful man, but if you don't make her feel something intense, she won't crave you. Women aren't addicted to comfort. They're addicted to emotional highs and lows, intensity, and the deep primal desire to surrender to a strong man. This is why the men who understand how to create an emotional roller coaster and tap into a woman's submissive trigger make women fall for them hard and fast, while the men who try to be perfect gentlemen often get ignored. The emotional roller coaster: why women get hooked on men who trigger highs and lows. A woman might say she wants peace, stability, and predictability in a relationship. But the truth? If there's no excitement, no challenge, and no emotional contrast, she will get bored and start pulling away. A man who makes her feel safe but also challenged, adored but also slightly uncertain, excited but also slightly nervous, creates an emotional roller coaster, and that's what keeps her addicted. The science behind emotional contrast and why it triggers attraction. Psychologists have found that dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical, is released when emotions shift between highs and lows. This is why women get hooked on men who are unpredictable and exciting. They remember the heartbreaks and passionate moments long after they're over. They feel bored when things become too predictable or routine. The men who create emotional contrast make women feel alive. The men who make everything too easy, too smooth, and too predictable get forgotten. How to use emotional contrast to make a woman emotionally addicted to you. Make her laugh, then challenge her. A woman loves a man who makes her laugh, but if he's only funny and playful, she won't see him as strong. Instead, mix humor with directness and challenge. If she says something teasing, give her a smirk and a sharp comeback. Give her attention, then pull away. If you give a woman all your attention all the time, she starts to take it for granted. But if you're engaging one moment and slightly distant the next, she starts wondering, wait, why isn't he chasing me? I need to get his attention back. Be passionate, then be mysterious. Men who are always available lose their mystique, but men who are passionate in the moment but still slightly mysterious become addictive. When a woman wonders, what is he thinking? What does he want? Her attraction intensifies. The secret isn't in being cold or distant. It's in knowing how to create emotional shifts that keep her engaged. The submissive trigger, why women crave to surrender to a strong man. Despite modern independence, most women still have a deep biological craving, a craving to be with a man who makes them feel safe enough to surrender. This isn't about dominance in a controlling way. It's about a woman's desire to feel feminine, soft, and protected in the presence of a masculine, confident man. Why women crave strong, masculine men. Women want to feel like they belong to a strong man. They want a man who knows how to lead without hesitation. They want a man who makes them feel safe enough to embrace their femininity. A woman can't feel truly feminine if she's with a man who is unsure, nervous, or apologetic about his masculinity. She can only surrender to a man she trusts to lead. How to trigger a woman's deepest submissive desire. Be decisive. Never hesitate to lead. Women respect men who take charge. Weak men always say, I don't know. What do you want to do? Strong men say, let's do this. Set boundaries, demand respect, and give it in return. Women test men not because they want to dominate them, but because they want to see if a man is strong enough to handle them. A weak man lets a woman walk all over him. A strong man respects her, but won't tolerate disrespect. Exude confidence through body language and tone. A man who stands tall, speaks with authority, and moves with certainty triggers a woman's biological craving for masculinity. When a man knows his worth, leads with confidence, and creates emotional depth, a woman naturally surrenders to his presence. Conclusion: why emotions always beat logic in attraction. Women don't fall in love because a man is nice, wealthy, or looks good on paper. They fall in love because a man makes them feel something they can't explain. The emotional roller coaster keeps her engaged. The submissive trigger makes her crave his presence. When a man masters these psychological triggers, he becomes the kind of man a woman can't walk away from, even if she tries. Final thoughts. The top 10 female dirty weaknesses every man must know. Throughout this guide, we've uncovered the deepest female psychological triggers that most men never understand. 1. The power of a man's touch, the subconscious attraction switch. 2. The forbidden effect, why women crave what they can't have. 3. Why drama keeps her hooked, the dopamine effect. 4. How a man's voice controls her mind, the silent seduction. 5. The hidden effect of jealousy, the competitive desire for high-value men. 6. The sweet spot of tension, why slow building attraction works best. 7. The fantasy effect, why women love a man they can't fully figure out. 8. The authority effect, why women subconsciously crave leadership. 9. The emotional drug, why women get addicted to highs and lows in a relationship. The submissive trigger, a woman's deepest desire to surrender to a strong man. Master these, and you won't just attract women, you'll make them crave you on a deep subconscious level. Want more? If you want to learn even more powerful secrets about attraction, seduction, and deep psychology, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more content. Leave a comment with what you found most surprising. Apply these principles today. Watch how women respond differently. Stay sharp, stay aware, stay ahead. Until next time. Why married women are the ultimate temptation, and they don't even know it. The hidden truth about married women and temptation. Most people don't set out to destroy their own lives, but destruction rarely comes in the form of one big obvious mistake. It happens in small, nearly imperceptible steps. Tiny decisions that seem harmless at first, but over time lead to choices that can never be undone. And when it comes to married women, there is a brutal, unspoken truth that most men don't see. A truth that makes them the easiest prey, not because they are weak, not because they lack morals, but because human nature is wired for temptation. No woman wakes up one day and decides, "Today, I'm going to betray everything I've built." It never happens that way. Instead, it begins in moments so subtle, so seemingly insignificant, that even she doesn't recognize them for what they are. The innocent conversation, the lingering glances, the way her heart beats just a little faster when she gets a text from someone who isn't her husband. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon for decades. They call it the slow erosion of boundaries. One thought at a time, one small indulgence at a time, until one day she looks in the mirror and no longer recognizes the person staring back. So, why are some married women so easy to lure in? And more importantly, how do they justify it to themselves? That's exactly what we're about to expose. The unspoken void, why some married women seek external attention. The greatest marriages are partnerships. It can't be a great marriage without being a partnership. Helen Mirren. At its best, marriage is a deep, unbreakable bond, a union meant to withstand the test of time, trials, and temptations. But not all marriages remain as strong as they once were. Not every wife still feels desired, cherished, or seen. And this is where the danger begins. Most people assume that when a married woman strays, she does it because she's looking for an escape, that she's unhappy in her marriage. But the truth? Many of them aren't trying to leave their husbands. Many of them aren't even looking for another man. What they're searching for is a feeling they lost somewhere along the way. How marriage changes a woman's emotional landscape. Humans are wired for connection, and for most women, emotional intimacy is just as important, if not more, than physical connection. In the early stages of a relationship, this intimacy is intoxicating. The deep late-night conversations, the way he looks at her like she's the most captivating person in the world, the stolen glances, the teasing, the sense of mystery. It's a time of passion, excitement, and endless discovery. But as the years go by, routine sets in. Life becomes predictable. Instead of discussing dreams, the conversation shifts to, did you pay the electric bill? Don't forget to pick up the kids. What do you want for dinner? Did you call the plumber? Deep connection is replaced by logistics. Romance fades into repetition. And worst of all, she starts to feel invisible. Dr. John Gottman, one of the world's most respected relationship psychologists, explains that the silent killer of relationships isn't conflict, it's indifference. Many men assume that as long as they aren't fighting with their wives, their marriage is fine. But that's a dangerous assumption, because in reality, indifference is far worse than anger. When a woman no longer feels noticed, when she no longer feels chosen, her subconscious mind starts seeking validation elsewhere. And sometimes she doesn't even realize it's happening. The dangerous power of external validation. A simple compliment from a stranger. A man who actually listens to what she has to say. A moment where she feels interesting again. It doesn't take much, because when a woman has spent years feeling unseen, a tiny interaction can feel like oxygen after suffocating in routine. This isn't about physical attraction alone, it's psychological. This is why even happily married women who still love their husbands, can find themselves drawn to attention from someone else. It's called the Coolidge effect, a psychological phenomenon that explains how novelty triggers excitement and desire. If a woman has been married for years, if every day looks the same, if every conversation feels predictable, then even the smallest taste of something new can feel electrifying. Not because she doesn't love her husband, not because she's a bad person, but because she misses the thrill of feeling wanted. The loss of identity in marriage. Another overlooked reason why some married women become susceptible to external validation is social identity loss. Many women, after marriage, start to feel like they are no longer an individual. They become someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's caretaker. Their identity shifts from who I am to others. Before marriage, she was an individual, a mystery, a woman with her own dreams, interests, and passions. After marriage, she is defined by her roles. The wife who keeps the family together, the mother who sacrifices everything for her children, the supporter who prioritizes everyone else's needs above her own. And while these roles are beautiful, they can also become restrictive. If a woman no longer feels like her own person, she might start seeking interactions that make her feel separate from her role. And sometimes that interaction comes in the form of another man. someone who reminds her of the version of herself she thought was long gone, the confident version, the woman, not just the wife, not just the mother. And this is where the lines start to blur. Part 3, the justification game, how the mind tricks itself. We've seen how a woman's emotional needs can become a vulnerability. But here's the next question. How does she justify it to herself? Because no one wakes up and thinks, I'm going to betray my marriage today. That's not how it works. Infidelity is a slow, slippery process, one that the mind justifies long before it manifests in real life. Because the truth is, guilt is unbearable, and if someone can convince themselves that what they're doing isn't really wrong, they no longer have to carry that guilt. So how does this happen? We'll break it down next. The justification game, how the mind tricks itself. The mind will always find a way to justify what the heart has already decided. Anonymous. No one wakes up and thinks, I'm going to betray my marriage today. That's not how it happens. Infidelity isn't a sudden decision. It's a slow, almost imperceptible. It begins long before any physical line is crossed. The first betrayal isn't a kiss. It isn't a hotel room. It isn't sneaking around. It starts in the mind. Because before a married woman steps over the line, she has already justified it to herself. Guilt is an unbearable weight, and the only way to make the weight disappear, convince yourself that you're not doing anything wrong. So how does the mind do this? Through a series of mental tricks that slowly bend reality. Let's break them down. Stage 1. The innocent justifications. At first, everything feels innocent. She tells herself, what's the harm? It's just a little attention. I'm just talking to him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm cheating. I just enjoy the conversation. She convinces herself that it's nothing. But here's the problem. The mind is a master of self-deception. If something feels good, but it goes against one's morals, the brain finds excuses to bridge the gap. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the mental tension that happens when our actions contradict our values. The tension is uncomfortable, so instead of stopping, the mind does something fascinating. It changes the narrative. She downplays her actions. It's just harmless fun. She shifts the blame. If my husband paid more attention to me, I wouldn't need this. She compartmentalizes. This has nothing to do with my marriage. It's just for me. Stage 2. Emotional infidelity, the invisible affair. This is where things get dangerous, because most affairs don't start in the bedroom. They start in the mind. In the first betrayal, it isn't physical, it's emotion. She tells herself, I would never actually do anything. It's just nice to talk. But talking turns into texting. Texting turns into late-night conversation. Late-night conversations turn into sharing personal struggles. And suddenly, she's telling him things she no longer tells her husband. At first, she doesn't see the danger. But there's a key difference between a normal friendship and emotional infidelity. A friendship feels open and natural. An emotional affair feels secretive and thrilling. She starts hiding her phone. She starts deleting messages. She starts feeling guilty, but not guilty enough to stop. Because at this stage, the mind rationalizes everything. She tells herself, I deserve this connection. I'm not doing anything wrong. I just feel alive again. It's not like we've done anything physical, but here's the truth. The moment she starts keeping secrets, she has already crossed the line. And from here, things only escalate. Stage 3, the slippery slope. When boundaries disappear, there's a concept in psychology called threshold theory. It explains why people who swear they'd never do something eventually end up doing it. Because the hardest part isn't doing something wrong, it's doing it for the first time. The first time she sends a message she knows she shouldn't send, meets up with him just as friends, feels his hand linger a little too long, and doesn't pull away. That's the moment everything shifts, because after the first time, the second time is easier. What once felt forbidden starts to feel normal, and before she knows it, she's in deep. At first, she still tells herself, this is under control, but she starts checking her phone constantly, waiting for his texts, making excuses to see him, feeling a thrill she hasn't felt in years. Her husband is no longer the man on her mind. He is. And this is where the most dangerous justification takes over. Stage 4, the I deserve this justification. This is the breaking point, the moment where she no longer sees her actions as wrong. Instead, she sees them as justified. Her thoughts shift from, I shouldn't do this. This is wrong. I need to stop. to, I deserve this. I've sacrificed so much for this marriage. Why shouldn't I feel happy? Heike doesn't care about me anymore, so why should I stay loyal? This isn't cheating, it's justice. This is the point of no return. Because at this stage, the emotional connection she's formed with another man feels more real than her marriage. Her mind has fully convinced her that stepping over the line isn't betrayal, it's what she deserves. And once a person believes something is justified, nothing can stop them. What happens next? At this stage, there are only two ways the story ends. 1, she gets caught. 2, she walks away from her marriage. Because once her heart belongs to someone else, her husband is no longer her primary relationship. He becomes the other man, and the more time passes, the harder it is to escape. So why are some married women the easiest prey? Because they're not looking to cheat. They're looking to feel something they lost. And once they find it, walking away feels impossible. Not because they don't love their husbands, not because they're bad people, but because they've convinced themselves that what they've found is something they'll never get back at home. Up next, part 4, the breaking point, when fantasy becomes reality. In part 4, we'll break down how the first betrayal turns into a full affair, how the mind adapts to secrecy and deception, why most women believe they can stop but never do. Part 4, the breaking point, when fantasy becomes reality. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. Samuel Johnson. Every story has a point of no return, a moment where there's no more just talking, no more it's just a friendship, no more it doesn't mean anything. The game is no longer a game. It becomes real. And the most terrifying part? Most women don't even realize when it happens until it's too late. Stage 1. The first step over the line and why it's irreversible. At this stage, the emotional connection is already fully formed. She no longer just talks to him, she confides in him. She no longer just sees him, but there's still one line she hasn't crossed: physical touch. The moment she crosses this threshold, there's no undoing it. The first time she holds his hand, lets his touch linger, meets him in private, feels the rush of a stolen moment, her entire psychology shifts because physical intimacy changes everything. The science behind why the first physical betrayal is unstoppable. In psychology, there's a concept called behavioral momentum. It means once you start moving in a certain direction, it's nearly impossible to stop. The first time she lies about where she's going, the first time she makes an excuse to see him, the first time their bodies come into contact. At this point, her brain chemistry has already shifted. Neuroscientists have found that romantic and sexual attraction activate the same brain pathways as drug addiction. The dopamine rush of a new connection feels intoxicating, like a hit of something she didn't even realize she was craving. Her brain is now hooked. Even if she tells herself this is the last time, she'll find a reason to go back. Not because she wants to betray her husband, but because the feeling itself is addictive. Stage 2. The lie becomes a lifestyle. At first, lying feels unnatural. The first time she hides a message, deletes a text, tells her husband, "I was just with a friend," it feels wrong. She feels guilt. Her heart races when her husband asks, "Who are you texting?" She tells herself, "I can stop whenever I want. I'm in control." But can she? Not really, because once something triggers an emotional and physical response, it becomes a habit. And habits are hard to break. After a while, the guilt disappears. She becomes better at covering her track. She compartmentalizes so well, she doesn't even feel guilty anymore. She believes her own lies. At this point, she's living a double life. Stage 3. The shift. When her husband becomes the other man. This is the most dangerous shift in her mind, because at this stage, her marriage is no longer her primary relationship. Her husband becomes the other man. The real passion, the real intimacy, the real excitement, it's happening elsewhere. She no longer sees her husband as her partner, feels annoyed when he tries to be affectionate, starts seeing him as an obstacle rather than a priority. Her heart already belongs to someone else. And when that happens, there are only 2 ways this story ends. Stage 4, the inevitable consequences, how it all falls apart. There are only 2 possible outcomes at this stage. 1, she gets caught. 2, she walks away from her marriage. Let's break both down. Outcome 1, she gets caught. A secret life is never fully secret. And no matter how careful she is, there are always signs. At first, they're subtle. She starts being on her phone constantly. She loses interest in intimacy with her husband. She becomes more distant and irritable. But eventually, the signs get bigger. Maybe it's a text message left open. Maybe it's a friend who suspects something. Maybe it's her own guilt slipping through the cracks. Eventually, the truth comes out, and when it does, the damage is done. She never meant to destroy her marriage, but she did. Outcome 2, she leaves her marriage, but it's never what she expected. In some cases, she doesn't get caught. Instead, she reaches a breaking point. She convinces herself, my marriage is over anyway. I deserve to be happy. He will never make me feel the way he does. So she walks away. But here's the brutal reality. Most affairs don't last because the fantasy and thrill that made it so exciting, it fades. And once the fantasy dies, she realizes she destroyed her marriage for something that wasn't real, lost the stability she once had, was just a temporary escape for the man she risked it all for. She traded a lifetime commitment for a temporary high, and by the time she realizes it, it's too late. Final thoughts. The hard truth about why married women become the easiest prey. Why are married women sometimes the easiest prey? Because they're not looking to cheat. They're looking to feel something they lost. And once they find it, walking away feels impossible. Not because they don't love their husbands, not because they're bad people, but because they've convinced themselves that what they've found is something they'll never get back at home. And that belief changes everything. What's next? Next episode, how men can recognize the signs before it's too late. The early warning signs no one talks about. How to reignite attraction in a long-term marriage. The hidden behaviors that signal an emotional affair. This is Stoic Guide. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and never be blind to the game again. Why women lose interest in men, the 7 weaknesses that kill attraction. There's a moment every man dreads, a moment so subtle that you might not even notice it when it happens, but if you do, it sticks with you forever. Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone you care about deeply. Maybe it's a woman you're dating, maybe it's your long-term girlfriend, or even a woman you've admired from afar, hoping to make an impression. The conversation is flowing, she's smiling, everything feels right. Then suddenly, something changes. It's almost imperceptible, but it's there. The warmth in her eyes dims ever so slightly. Her responses become just a fraction of a second slower. The energy between you subtly shifts. She still smiles, still engages, but something is off. At first, you brush it off. Maybe she's just tired. Maybe she's distracted. But then you notice it happening again. The way she looks at you is different now. Less admiration, less excitement. And then the worst part kicks in. She starts pulling away. Not physically, at least not at first, but emotionally. She seems less interested in what you say. Her messages take longer to reply. Her enthusiasm when she sees you isn't quite the same. She seems a little more distracted. When you're together, you rack your brain, trying to figure it out. What happened? What did I do wrong? And here's the cold, hard truth. Most men have no idea when they're projecting weakness. And even worse, they have no idea how to fix it. It's not about being physically weak. It's not about your job, your money, or even how attractive you are. Weakness, in the eyes of a woman, is something far deeper. It's a lack of emotional strength, self-assuredness, and a firm sense of identity. And once she senses that weakness, it's incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible, to change how she sees you. But here's the good news. You can fix this. And the first step is awareness. Because whether you realize it or not, there are 7 specific behaviors that instantly make women lose respect for a man. And if you don't address them, you'll continue to struggle, losing women you like, feeling unseen, and wondering why they always choose someone else. So let's break them down one by one. Next up, sign 1. Seeking validation constantly. 1. You seek validation constantly. Let's be real. Every human being enjoys validation. We all like to be praised, appreciated, and acknowledged. It's part of human nature. But when a man relies on validation to feel worthy, that's when things go wrong, especially in the eyes of women. And here's what you need to understand. Women can sense it instantly. You might think you're just being nice, being attentive, or trying to make her happy, but if you're constantly fishing for approval, whether through words, actions, or even your body language, she feels it on a subconscious level. What does seeking validation look like? You ask for her opinion on everything. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think I should wear this? Instead of making your own choices, you constantly need her input, subtly signaling that you don't fully trust yourself. You're always checking if she's happy with you. You text, "Are you mad at me?" the second she takes longer than usual to reply. You adjust your behavior based on how you think she feels, rather than just being your natural self. You change your personality to fit what she likes. If she mentions she likes confident guys, you suddenly try to act dominant. If she says she prefers guys who are laid back, you immediately try to seem more chill, even if that's not who you really are. You constantly seek compliments. Do I look good in this? Did I do that well? Instead of owning your strengths, you subtly ask for reassurance. You base your mood on her approval. If she compliments you, you feel on top of the world. If she seems distant, your confidence crumbles. Women may not always call you out on this behavior directly, but trust me, they notice. And once they sense you need their validation to feel good about yourself, it's a massive turnoff. Why this is a problem? At first, she might tolerate it. She might even enjoy the attention, but over time, something shifts. The respect she had for you erodes. She doesn't see you as a strong, confident man anymore. She sees you as someone who is uncertain of his own worth. And if you're not convinced, think about this. Who does a woman truly respect more? The man who is secure in himself, who doesn't need constant reassurance, who knows his own value. The man who constantly looks to her for approval, subtly seeking permission to be confident. The answer is obvious. Now, I get it, you might be thinking, but isn't it natural to want validation? Isn't that just being considerate? Here's the key difference. A confident man appreciates validation, but doesn't need it. He doesn't base his self-worth on it. If he gets it, great. If he doesn't, he's still the same man. How to fix this instantly? Start trusting your own judgment. The next time you're about to ask, "What do you think I should do?" stop yourself. Make the decision on your own. Own it. Stop over-texting and over-explaining yourself. If she takes longer to reply, don't send follow-ups. If she's distant, don't immediately try to fix it. Let things breathe. Validate yourself first. Instead of looking for compliments, remind yourself of your own worth. When you achieve something, acknowledge it privately. Embrace silence. Many men feel the need to fill every pause in conversation, to constantly entertain, but true confidence lies in being comfortable with silence, because it shows you're not desperate for approval. When you stop seeking validation, something amazing happens. Women notice. They start respecting you more. They see you as a man who knows his worth, with or without their approval, and that is the ultimate power. Next up, sign 2. Avoiding conflict, and why this destroys attraction faster than you think. 2. You avoid conflict, and she loses respect because of it. Most men think that avoiding conflict makes them more likable. They believe that if they never rock the boat, never challenge a woman, and always agree with everything she says, she'll see them as easygoing, drama-free, and desirable. But let me tell you something that will completely change how you see this. Women don't respect men who run from conflict. Sure, she may say she wants a nice guy who's always agreeable. She may claim she loves a man who never argues and is just easy to be with. But what she's not telling you is that, deep down, a man who can't handle confrontation is a man she can't fully trust. What avoiding conflict looks like: you always agree, even when you don't mean it. If she has a strong opinion on something, politics, relationships, life, you immediately conform to her view instead of standing your ground. You let things slide that actually bother you. Maybe she flirts with another guy in front of you. Maybe she disrespects you in a subtle way. But instead of calling it out, you convince yourself it's not a big deal. You over-apologize. Even when you did nothing wrong, you say, "I'm sorry," just to smooth things over. You avoid difficult conversations. Maybe she's been pulling away, but instead of asking what's wrong, you just hope things get better. You let her make all the decisions. You never express what you want. You let her pick where you go, what you do, what the relationship looks like, because you're afraid that disagreeing might upset her. At first, she might like how agreeable you are. She might even say things like, "You're such a great listener," or "I love that you never argue with me." But here's what will happen. Over time, she will start to lose respect for you. And the more she loses respect, the less she will feel attraction. Why this is a problem. A woman may enjoy being with a man who keeps the peace, but she will never feel deeply attracted to him in the same way she is to a man who has a strong backbone. Why? Because a woman doesn't just want a man who is nice. She wants a man who is strong. And if you can't even stand up for yourself in a relationship, how can she trust that you'll stand up for her when it really matters? Think about it. Would she feel safe with you if another man disrespected her in public? Would she feel protected if someone challenged you in a social setting? Or would she worry that you'd just back down, just like you always do? Deep down, women test men for strength. And if you fail this test over and over by avoiding even the smallest of conflicts, she will start to see you as weak. How to fix this instantly? Learn to say no without fear. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. Stop agreeing just to make her happy. A strong man has boundaries. Speak up when something bothers you. If she does something that disrespects you, calmly but firmly address it. You don't have to be aggressive, just stand your ground. Stop apologizing when you did nothing wrong. I'm sorry should be reserved for moments when you truly need to apologize, not as a tool to avoid confrontation. Have difficult conversations. If something feels off in your relationship, bring it up. Show her you're a man who faces problems head on instead of sweeping them under the rug. Disagree when necessary. You don't have to be argumentative, but if you have a different opinion, express it. Women are far more attracted to a man who confidently says, "I don't see it that way," than a man who just nods and agrees with everything she says. When you stop avoiding conflict, something shifts in how women see you. They start to respect you more. They view you as a man with a strong presence, a leader, someone they can count on. Because a man who isn't afraid of conflict is a man who isn't afraid to be himself. And that is incredibly powerful. Next up, sign 3. Being reactive instead of proactive. Why emotional instability kills attraction, and women sense it immediately. Let's talk about something most men never realize is killing their attractiveness: being too reactive. At first, you might not think this is a big deal. After all, what's wrong with reacting to situations as they happen? Isn't that just being human? Here's the problem. A man who is reactive is a man who has no control over himself. And women, they can sense this almost instantly. They see it in the way you handle stress, the way your mood changes based on what's happening around you, the way you let small inconveniences ruin your entire day. What being reactive looks like. You get easily frustrated or upset. Maybe she's late for a date, or she cancels plans last minute. Instead of calmly addressing it, you immediately lash out, complain, or act passive-aggressive. Your emotions are dictated by external circumstances. If things go well, you're happy. If things go wrong, you spiral into negativity. You have no emotional stability. You overthink everything. If she takes longer than usual to text back, you immediately assume something is wrong. Instead of staying cool, you start overanalyzing and panicking. You get jealous or insecure easily. If she mentions another guy, even casually, you tense up. You start questioning if she's losing interest. You let rejection destroy your confidence. If she pulls away, even slightly, you take it as a personal attack. Instead of handling it with strength, you become desperate for reassurance. Here's the harsh truth. Women do not feel safe with men who are emotionally unstable. They might tolerate it for a while. They might even try to reassure you. But deep down, a man who lets everything get to him is a man they can't trust to lead, protect, or remain strong under pressure. And over time, that kills attraction. Why this is a problem? Women are naturally wired to seek men who are steady, grounded, and emotionally strong. Not because they're looking for a perfect guy who never feels anything, but because they need to feel safe in a man's presence. A reactive man is unpredictable. He's emotionally unstable, and whether he realizes it or not, he's signaling weakness with every outburst, every insecure thought, every emotional reaction he can't control. Now ask yourself, if you were in a dangerous situation, a fight, a crisis, a moment of extreme pressure, would you rather be with the man who panics, freaks out, and reacts emotionally, the man who stays calm, assesses the situation, and responds with confidence? It's obvious. And women feel the same way. When you're reactive, you're showing them that you can't be trusted to handle pressure, and that means they won't trust you to handle them either. How to fix this instantly? Pause before reacting. The next time something frustrates you, don't respond immediately. Take a breath. Give yourself a few seconds to think before you say or do anything. Stop letting emotions dictate your actions. You can feel anger, frustration, or jealousy, but don't let those emotions control you. A strong man acknowledges his emotions but doesn't become a slave to them. Adopt a mindset of control. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" shift your mindset to, "How can I handle this like a man in control of his life?" Stay calm when things go wrong. If she's late, if she cancels plans, if she pulls away, don't freak out. Women pay close attention to how you handle setbacks. If you stay calm and unbothered, they will respect you more. Let go of the need to control everything. One of the biggest reasons men become reactive is because they feel powerless over a situation. Instead of trying to control everything, accept that some things are out of your hands. Focus on what you can control: your mindset, your reaction, and your attitude. When you become a man who isn't easily shaken, everything changes. Women see you differently. They trust you more. They feel safer with you. And most importantly, they respect you. Because a man who controls his emotions is a man who controls his life. Next up, sign 4, lacking purpose, and why this makes women instantly lose interest. 4, you lack patience, and women can sense it immediately. Let's get one thing straight. A man without purpose is a man without respect, not just from women, but from everyone: his friends, his peers, his colleagues, and most importantly, himself. Because here's the thing, women are naturally drawn to men who are going somewhere in life. It's not about being rich. It's not about having a perfect career or driving a luxury car. It's about having a mission, a direction, a fire inside you that pushes you forward. And when a man doesn't have that, women can feel it. And trust me, once she senses that you're drifting aimlessly through life, her attraction for you drops fast. What lacking purpose looks like: you have no clear goals. You wake up every day with no real drive, no sense of urgency, no bigger vision for your future. We are just going with the flow. You let life happen to you instead of taking control. Instead of being proactive, you just react to whatever comes your way. You prioritize chasing women over chasing success. Instead of focusing on building something meaningful, you spend all your time trying to impress women, get dates, or make her like you. You waste hours on meaningless activities, video games, Netflix, scrolling social media. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, but if you're doing these things instead of working towards something real, you're stagnating. You live for the weekend. If your whole existence revolves around just getting to Friday so you can drink, party, and escape reality, you're avoiding the bigger question: what are you actually building in your life? Women might enjoy a guy who's fun and laid back. They might even date him for a while, but deep down, they will never truly respect a man who has no vision for his future. Why this is a problem? Women are instinctively wired to seek security and leadership in a man. Not just financial security, but emotional and directional security. When a woman meets a man with a strong sense of purpose, she can feel it in the way he talks, the way he carries himself, the way he makes decisions. He doesn't just exist. He's on a mission. And when a woman meets a man who lacks that sense of purpose, she might tolerate it for a while. She might even try to motivate him, push him to do more, encourage him to be ambitious. But eventually, she will lose interest, because a man who isn't passionate about something is a man who feels empty. And when a man feels empty, he starts looking to a woman to fill that void. That's when he starts clinging. That's when he starts making her the center of his life. That's when he becomes emotionally dependent on her validation, her attention, her love. And the moment a woman realizes that she's the only thing driving a man's happiness, she checks out emotionally. How to fix this instantly? Find something to build. I don't care what it is. Your career, your fitness, a side hustle, a creative project. Start working towards something bigger than yourself. Stop making women your purpose. Your purpose should be so strong that whether she stays or leaves, your mission continues. Set real goals, not vague ones like, I want to be successful, or I want to make more money. Define what success actually looks like for you and start moving toward it. Take control of your time. Start tracking how much time you waste on distractions. Cut out anything that isn't contributing to your growth. Develop skills that make you valuable. The more skills you master, the more confident you become. And the more confident you become, the less you rely on external validation. When you have a purpose that drives you, women can feel it. They don't just see you as another guy, they see you as a force to be reckoned with, a man with a vision, a man with direction, a man they want to be a part of his journey. Because a man on a mission doesn't chase women. Women chase him. Next up, sign 5, indecisiveness and why it makes women lose trust in you. 5, learn your indecision, the difficulty in ritual, lack of understanding in worship, and one grit, a complete rest in you because of the dysfunction. It is, let me paint a picture for you. You're out on a date. She asks, where do you want to go for dinner? And instead of confidently choosing a place, you respond with, I don't know. What do you feel like? She shrugs. I don't care. Anything is fine. And you, instead of making a decision, you go back and forth. Maybe this place, or maybe that one. I mean, we could do sushi, but what if you don't like sushi? What do you think? Boom, just like that, she's lost a little bit of attraction for you. You might think you're being considerate, trying to accommodate her preferences. But what you're actually doing, you're signaling uncertainty. And uncertainty in a man, it's a major turnoff. What indecisiveness looks like. You hesitate to make even small decisions. Something as simple as choosing a restaurant, a movie, or an activity turns into a long, drawn-out process because you want to make sure she's happy. You constantly ask for her opinion before acting. Instead of taking initiative, you always check with her first. Is this okay? Do you like this? You struggle with life decisions. Maybe it's choosing a career path, deciding where to live, or figuring out what you truly want. You constantly go back and forth, overanalyzing everything. You second-guess yourself. Even when you finally make a choice, you keep wondering if you should have chosen differently. You are afraid of making the wrong choice. Instead of taking action and learning from experience, you stay stuck, paralyzed by fear of failure. At first, she might not say anything. She might even play along. But over time, her respect for you will fade. Because women do not trust men who can't take the lead. Why this is a problem. Women want to feel safe with a man, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. They want to know that if life throws challenges at you both, you'll be the one who takes control of the situation. But if you can't even decide where to eat, how can she trust you to handle bigger problems? How can she trust that if something serious happens, losing a job, facing financial hardship, dealing with a crisis, you won't just freeze up, unsure of what to do? Indecisiveness equals lack of leadership, and lack of leadership kills attraction instantly. How to fix this instantly? Start making small decisions quickly. Pick the restaurant, choose the activity, select the movie. Stop overthinking, just decide. Own your choices. Even if you make the wrong decision, stand by it. A confident man doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to commit. Trust yourself. Stop asking for constant validation. If you feel something is right, go for it. Women respect a man who has conviction. Learn from mistakes instead of fearing them. No decision is perfect. Instead of worrying about getting it wrong, focus on adapting and improving over time. Be direct. Instead of saying, "What do you want to do?" say, "Let's do this. I think you'll love it." Watch how her energy changes instantly. When you start leading instead of hesitating, women will feel it. They will look at you differently. They will trust you more. Because a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go after it is a man who commands respect. Next up, 6, being too nice, and why it's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. 6, you're too nice and it's destroying your attraction. Wait, being too nice is a bad thing? Yes, if it means you're sacrificing your own needs, boundaries, and self-respect to keep others happy. This is one of the biggest misconceptions men have about attraction. You've probably heard phrases like, "Nice guys finish last. Women always go for jerks. If I treat her well, she'll love me back." But here's what most men don't understand. Women don't dislike nice guys. They dislike men who are weak, overly accommodating, and afraid to assert themselves. There's a huge difference between being a kind, respectable man and being a pushover. What being too nice looks like. You agree with everything she says, even when you don't actually agree. You put her needs above your own, even when it's inconvenient for you. You tolerate disrespect or bad behavior because you're afraid to lose her. You never express your own wants and preferences. You just go along with hers. You always try to fix her problems, even when she doesn't ask you to. At first, she might like how attentive and caring you are, but over time, something changes. She starts feeling bored, unchallenged, uninspired, because a man who always bends to her will, who never challenges her, who never stands up for himself, that's not a man she can respect. Why this is a problem. Attraction isn't just about being nice. It's about being strong, confident, and having a backbone. Women aren't drawn to men who are overly eager to please. They're drawn to men who are secure in themselves. Think about this. Who commands more respect? The man who stands firm in his values, speaks his mind, and isn't afraid to disagree when necessary? The man who avoids conflict, suppresses his own needs, and tries to make everyone happy? It's obvious. Women want a man who is kind but firm, someone who treats them well but doesn't compromise his own self-respect in the process. How to fix this instantly. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. Not everyone will approve of you, and that's okay. The moment you stop seeking approval, you become far more attractive. Set boundaries and enforce them. If something makes you uncomfortable, say so. If someone disrespects you, address it. Speak your mind. If you have a different opinion, express it. Women respect men who can think for themselves. Stop over-explaining and over-apologizing. You don't need to justify every decision or action. Own your choices without needing permission. Prioritize your own life and goals. A strong man has his own mission. Don't let your entire world revolve around making her happy. When you stop being too nice and start being real, something incredible happens. Women don't see you as a doormat anymore. They respect you, admire you, and feel deeply drawn to your confidence. Because a man who values himself is a man that everyone else values too. Next up, sign 7, fear of loss, and how it makes you act desperate without realizing it. 7. You fear loss, and it makes you act desperate without realizing it. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous mindsets a man can have in a relationship, the fear of loss. This fear doesn't always look obvious at first. You might not be the guy begging a woman to stay, but the behaviors always leak out in subtle ways, and the moment a woman senses it, her respect for you crumbles. Because a man who fears losing a woman is a man who has already lost himself. What fear of loss looks like. You constantly seek reassurance. You ask questions like, "Do you still like me?" or "Are you happy with me?" instead of being confident in the connection. You get anxious when she pulls away. If she's busy or not as responsive, you panic. You start texting more, trying to fix something that isn't even broken. You tolerate bad behavior, Maybe she's disrespectful, flaky, or inconsiderate, but instead of standing up for yourself, you let it slide because you're afraid of pushing her away. You overcompensate. If you sense she's losing interest, you start trying too hard, buying gifts, over texting, doing anything to regain her attention. You make her your entire world. Instead of focusing on your own growth and goals, you prioritize her above everything else. Your happiness depends on her approval. Here's what you need to understand. The moment a woman feels like she is the center of your life, she will lose attraction. Not because she wants you to ignore her, but because women don't want to be a man's purpose. They want to be with a man who has a purpose beyond them. Why this is a problem. Fear of loss makes you act in ways that repel women. It makes you needy. It makes you cling to the relationship instead of standing firm in your own value. And here's what's worse. Women test men for this. They might pull back just to see how you react. They might cancel plans to see if you get needy. They might act distant to see if you stay strong or start chasing. If you fail this test by panicking, overcompensating, or acting desperate, you confirm her worst fear. You are afraid of losing her because you don't believe you can replace her, and that kills attraction instantly. How to fix this instantly? Detach from the outcome. Instead of worrying about whether she stays or leaves, focus on being the best version of yourself. Never let one woman become your sole source of happiness. A man with a strong mission is never afraid of losing anyone because he knows his life is full either way. If she pulls away, don't chase. Pull back too. The strongest men don't panic when a woman gets distant. They match her energy and let her come back on her own. Have options. The best way to avoid fear of loss: know that you are always in abundance. The world is full of opportunities, full of people. No single person defines your worth. Work on yourself more than you work on your relationships. The more confident you are in your own life, the less you will ever fear losing anyone. When you stop fearing loss, something incredible happens. Women don't see you as desperate, clingy, or replaceable anymore. They see you as a high-value man who doesn't settle, doesn't chase, and isn't afraid to walk away. And ironically, that's when they want you even more. Final message. Reclaim your strength. Attraction isn't just about what you say or do, it's about who you are at your core. Women don't respect weak men, not because they're mean, but because they can't trust them to lead, protect, or handle life's challenges. So, to recap, here are the 7 signs that women instantly recognize as weakness. Seeking validation constantly, stop looking for approval. Validate yourself. Avoiding conflict, stand up for yourself. Respect isn't given to men who run from hard conversations. Being reactive instead of proactive. Control your emotions. Don't let the world dictate your mood. Lacking purpose. Find your mission in life. Women want to join a man on a journey, not be the journey itself. Being indecisive. Make decisions with confidence. Own your choices. being too nice. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. Set boundaries. Speak your mind. Fearing loss. Never let one person control your happiness. Stay in abundance. When you fix these weaknesses, you stop being just another guy. You become a man of value, a man who is respected, admired, and deeply desired. Because a man who doesn't need approval, doesn't fear loss, and doesn't hesitate to walk his own path, is a man that no one, especially women, can ignore. If this hit home for you, take action. Build yourself into the man you were meant to be. And if you're ready to level up, hit that subscribe button. Let's build strength together. All right, let's be real. Have you ever been in bed with someone incredible? Everything is going perfectly. Your partner is looking at you like you're the king of the universe, and then, bam, it's over before it even really started? Yeah, we've all been there, and let's be honest, it sucks. But what if I told you the secret to lasting longer, controlling your pleasure, and making your partner crave more isn't some weird trick or a numbing spray? Nope. It's something natural, powerful, and scientifically proven, and I guarantee 90% of men don't even know about it. The science of lasting longer, but make it fun. What is premature ejaculation? Premature ejaculation is basically when you finish before you or your partner want to. And look, science says it's common, as in up to 30% of men deal with it. That's 1 in 3 guys. You, your best friend, and probably your neighbor. Yep, all part of the same secret club nobody wants to be in. Why does this happen? Your brain is basically a hyperactive puppy. It gets excited too fast. Meanwhile, your body isn't trained to keep up. Your nervous system, your pelvic muscles, your breath control, these all play a role. And when they're weak, well, we know what happens. The fix: exercise, but not just any exercise. Now, you might be thinking, wait, what? How does exercise have anything to do with my performance in bed? Oh, my friend, buckle up, because this is about to get interesting. So, what's the one exercise that can turn you into a stamina god? Well, stick around, because in chapter 2, I'm revealing exactly what it is, and trust me, once you know this, you'll never go back. The magic exercise that changes everything. All right, gentlemen, it's time. You came here for answers. You want to last longer. You want your partner to look at you like you're a god among men, and you want to stop that, oh, it's over already, awkward silence after sex. Well, my friend, let's talk about the one exercise that will transform your stamina, control, and pleasure in bed. Doctors are stunned, scientists are shocked, and your partner, well, let's just say she's about to experience something very, very different. The moment of truth. What's the secret exercise? Now, I know what you're thinking. All right, just tell me what to do, and I hear you. So, here it is. The absolute #1 exercise that will train your body to last longer in bed is Kegels. Wait, what? Kegels? That's it? The same thing women do after pregnancy? Yes, and before you click off thinking I've lost my mind, let me explain why this one exercise is a game changer. Why Kegels are the secret weapon to stamina. They strengthen your control center, the PC muscle, The pelvic floor muscles are the secret command center for controlling ejaculation. If they're weak, you're going to finish fast. If they're strong, you're in control. Think of them like a dam holding back a powerful river. A weak dam, boom, flood everywhere. A strong dam, you decide when to release the pressure. They increase ejaculatory control. Ever felt like you were about to explode, but wished you could just hold on a little longer? Kegels let you pause, slow down, and stay in control instead of going over the edge too soon. They make your orgasms more powerful. This isn't just about lasting longer, it's about feeling better. Stronger pelvic muscles mean stronger contractions during orgasm, leading to longer, more intense pleasure. How to do Kegels with a sexy twist. All right, now let's get to the good part. How do you actually do these? Find the right muscle. Next time you're peeing, try stopping midstream. The muscle you use to do that, that's your pelvic floor. Boom, found it. Squeeze and hold. Now squeeze that muscle like you're trying to hold in the most intense orgasm of your life. Hold it for 5 seconds. Breathe, release. Repeat like a boss. Do this 10-15 times, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night. While brushing your teeth, driving, even watching this video. Just don't make weird faces in public while doing it, unless you want people to think you have a secret superpower. How Kegels work in real life, a sexy story to drive it home. Let's paint a picture. Imagine this. You're with someone gorgeous. The chemistry is off the charts. You start. Things are heating up. She's moaning your name. You feel yourself getting close, but wait, not yet. Instead of panicking, you use your newfound Kegel power. You engage that pelvic muscle, take a slow breath, and boom, you're back in control. Minutes later, she's shaking, speechless, and looking at you like you just performed literal magic. And the best part? You still haven't finished. That, gentlemen, is the power of Kegels. Common mistakes and how to fix them. Holding your breath while doing Kegels. You need to relax. If you tense up and hold your breath, you'll create more anxiety instead of control. Only doing Kegels when having sex. You need to train daily so that when the moment comes, your body reacts instinctively, not engaging the right muscles. If your abs or thighs are flexing, you're doing it wrong. Focus only on your pelvic floor. What happens when you do Kegels for 2 weeks? Let's talk results. If you actually do Kegels every day for just 2 weeks, here's what's going to happen. Better stamina. You'll notice you can hold off finishing much longer.